Hey there everybody, Matt Carter here.
And Jessica Carter.
This video is our Manifest Season 2 finale reaction. We have made it to the end of the season. We are still kind of wondering what all of that just was.
Craziness.
We will discuss the end here. We will also talk about what Season 3 could be. I hope everyone out there is doing all right and is ready to dive into a discussion about this show, because before we do, if you do like this video, remember to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. Okay, so where exactly do we begin here? Do we begin with, obvious spoiler alert, the part of the plane that has been unearthed from the ocean?
Crazy, right? It's giving me a little bit of Lost flashbacks when they found the plane at the bottom of the ocean there too. It was kind of like oh wow, okay, we're kind of going in this direction. That's cool.
Well, okay, so if I'm gonna just get my craziest theory out of the way right now with this.
Yeah.
I wonder sometimes with this that if all these people are dead, but they're sort of angels in a sense that have been brought back, whether you want to call it heaven or some other sort of world, and they are there to sort of fulfill these callings and do these jobs, and that they're only destined to be there for a certain period of time before they're sort of sent back to wherever in which they were. Like that is sort of my prevailing thought after seeing something like this, which seems like a pretty strong indicator that I don't exactly know how they could all crash into the ocean, the plane could piece itself back together, leave plane parts at the bottom of the ocean, and then eventually land again.
Yeah, it's a pretty good theory. I mean, when I saw that plane at the bottom of the ocean in Lost, my first thought was, okay, well, everybody's dead then. So a lot of my feelings then was like, okay, they're all on this island and everything's trying to kill them or make them miserable. So they were in some sort of self-made hell from, everything that they did in life, and now they're all kind of paying for it. I was kind of wondering if there was something similar going on here, except that the people that died on the plane were good people, and that instead of it being like, oh, a bunch of terrible people and they're all on the Lost Island, now we have a bunch of really good people that have good intentions, that are maybe being, angels of God in a lot of ways. I mean, we did see a beam of light come down in this episode and save Zeke. We will get more into that. But if that's sort of the idea of this faith and blind faith and being rewarded by a higher light, that maybe that is what is happening, that they're fulfilling these duties and helping people as sort of a guardian angel, and that will give them sort of a second shot to be able to come back to Earth and actually be there again.
It is such there are so many different ways I think we can view what this is, other than just a, hey, we really want you to have a season 3, so we're going to put this ending at the end here. I think there's clearly a larger plan that has been devised for some of these people. I mean, the thing I kind of get stuck on is that, Manifest has talked about the idea of religion here and there. Mm-hmm. But I don't necessarily think it is an explicitly religious show, so I don't know how far they're going to go down this whole angel sort of rabbit hole. And I mean, also, I think some of these passengers are still capable of doing bad things, but does that make them a fallen angel, if you will? And then also, if this is the case, why would they want to keep Zeke there after Zeke just did one of the most, quote-unquote angelic things possible in trying to save someone else's life?
Well, that's what I was wondering when Zeke ended up sort of getting this second chance at life with this beam of light that came down and brought him back to life, that maybe it's along the lines of he's fulfilled this destiny, he followed everything that these callings, as they're calling them, could be God, could be whatever. He's followed everything he needed to do, and he's earned his spot back on Earth again.
That could be it. I think the part of this that's tricky, and it's tricky to me in a way, is I wish that they had showed the consequences of this beam of light, if you will, because it feels a lot to me like this is sort of a very incomplete ending for Zeke, because, yeah, he's back, but I don't want him to just be sort of back without consequence. It's sort of like if you keep him alive and you don't kill him off, what's the trade-off for that? I mean, because we didn't really see that much of him after he was brought back.
No, he looked completely fine. Everything was fine. You know, does he still have his callings? Is that now sort of erased from him? So it gives everyone else just, you know, the idea that then just going forward, as long as you continue to do what the callings tell you, everything's going to be A-okay. So I don't know if this is the show wrapping that up, because I will say, honestly, for me, the journey this season that I was the most invested in was sort of Sonve going through this and trying to find answers and trying to beat the death date and sort of bringing in that scientific aspect to it. And then we got to the end and it felt like, you know, the journey was amazing, but then the payoff wasn't there. All of a sudden it was, oh, well, this beam of light came down and took care of everything. So Sonvi testing on herself and getting fired from her job and sneaking in this lab, and everything she did was for nothing. So if that's the case, then a bit disappointed in that. But if it's not the case and there's still more to this death date story, I'm really hoping this is going to come back next season, because then were we just brought on this journey just for it to be nothing, and that it's a higher power that's going to make the decisions and not anything that she did. I mean, she's murdered somebody for this to save Zeke, and it's got to mean something.
This is where I sort of am with it right now, in that, yeah, if it is just Zeke wakes up at the start of season 3 and he is A-okay, everything is fine, and that sort of solves the death date mystery, then, you know, that's not going to be satisfying. But to me, what would be the most interesting is Zeke shows up in season 3 and he's not Zeke anymore, and that, yeah, he manages to stay, but there's some other consequence that comes with him staying, and then that sort of makes everybody think, okay, yeah, there might be a way to survive the death date, but after the death date, we're no longer ourselves. Is this actually a fate that's worse than death? I mean, that could be kind of depressing if they do it a certain way.
But it seemed like he came back and he was the same, that everything was the same.
I just don't think we've seen enough of him yet. Like, maybe he thinks he's okay, and then maybe a week down the road, he starts having some really weird impulses, or he starts losing control of his mind, or there's some other sort of, like, weird twist that comes, and this beam of light has poisoned him in some way.
There just has, for me, the payoff wasn't there. There has to be more to this, that, you know, it is about the journey, but there's got to be a payoff at the end, kind of like what happened with Dexter. Great journey, really good journey, and then the payoff just wasn't there at the end, and that kind of happened for me. And I was really conflicted about Zeke in general, because he's a character that I love and I did not want to lose from this show at all. But it felt like for this death date to matter and to really have high stakes in it, high enough for zombie to murder somebody, Zeke had to die. And it's a huge risk for the show to take, but it would have been one that held a lot of weight for me, and I would have been like, wow, this show, they went there, they raised that bar. I'm really sad to see Zeke go, but man, now I am more worried about Michaela and Ben and everybody else, because that death date, it is not messing around. But now it's different.
I really, you know, to me, I thought Zeke was going to die entering the finale.
I didn't.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to go there and kill him off, because I thought they would want to preserve this as sort of the big mystery. I'm assuming they got to have some sort of plan where there's sort of a different twist that they're setting up beyond this, so it's not just about the death date anymore, because otherwise I think resolving one of your big central storylines in season 2, that just doesn't feel, it doesn't go in my head with everything that I've sort of heard, that there is this plan for this show to go on for many more years. So I got to assume that there's a reasoning behind why they did what they did. I was surprised by the direction that they went with it. I'm curious to see where they go moving forward with Zeke. I mean, the problem with the finale that I have the hardest time wrapping my head around is the whole what's going on with Sanvi, and I understand her motivation for sure behind wanting to go after the Major in this particular way, but it is sort of like, okay, where does Sanvi's story go from here? Because that is the part of this to me that it really feels like she's kind of rudderless now, where, everything she did, it was just boom, this beam seemed to do something else, and if she has no control over it, what is her purpose in science now?
Yeah, and now she has a murder on her as well. I mean, that whole scene with the Major and Samvi's like lurking behind a tree in the dark, and then she's willing to kill this person, like, it just didn't fit right for me. I understand that she's really desperate. Samvi has done some things to make sure that everybody's going to be safe. She's tested on herself. So we know that this character is capable of going to the ends of the earth, including testing on her own body to try to find an answer to this. Murder was not something that I felt was going to be in her wheelhouse, even by accident, even sort of I'll just play the line of murder, but I'll save her at the last minute. It felt a little bit too far of a stretch for her. And now she's in this situation where the death date and the science behind it and all of that, at this moment, we don't know if there is any other consequences, but at this moment seems solved without anything that she needed to do. But now she has a murder on her. She does feel a bit like what you said, a bit of a rudderless boat, which is kind of concerning for me because she's a character that I'm very invested in.
And I am too, and I'm sure they, like with everything else, I'm sure there's a plan. We're just left off in kind of a weird place right now where we don't know what the next step of it is going to be. I will say this. I'm very pro Jared in the finale. It's like, all right, Jared, look at you. You're helping Michaela out. You're not being a jerk face like you were at one point during the season.
Yeah, he's really stepped up to be there for her and to be there for Zeke. And it was good to have them have that last moment where Zeke was like, thanks so much. Make sure you look after her when I'm gone. Jared's like, yeah, no problem. I mean, that was all really good. And it's nice that they have found a way to still include him and stuff. The other thing that I was having a little bit of a problem with was how much blame Michaela was getting for what happened to Cal. This was not her fault. I understand that she didn't follow the calling to let some drug dealers go, but she's a cop. I mean, to have a calling where you're going to have these really bad dudes be... You're told to let them go. You don't know exactly what these callings mean. There's been times where, this same calling told her to let the guy on the bus go, and that was the wrong guy. So these were the guys, maybe, that she was being told to let go. She didn't know that this was going to be connected to Cal. She had no way to know that. So the response that Grace had, yelling at her, blaming her, shaming her, threatening this police chief with, death. Like, it was so out of character. And I understand she's a mom and she's upset. But this character has never been like this. This character's always been such a touchstone for me. And even though I would see her as a mom and see her upset, blaming everybody and yelling at everybody. This is your fault, Michaela. You make this right. I mean, it just felt like at the end of that, Michaela deserved an apology. She didn't just deserve thank you. She deserved, I was way out of line, Michaela. I'm really sorry, like Ben gave her. And I'm hoping that maybe we'll get that next season, but probably not.
I would think that she would probably, Grace, if she had more time, sort of come to her senses and realize some of this stuff. I think the issue, of course, is going to be how much are we jumping forward in season 3? I mean, are we going to pick up directly where we left off here, which I guess is probably part of a challenge when you've got, a kid character like Cal who's going to get older, and it's probably harder to do that. But if you did kind of stay in this time period, I think maybe we could see something like that. I think maybe a problem here will be season 3. They'll jump forward a stretch of time, and then maybe we'll sort of assume that happened over the course of the little while.
I really hope that they will not jump ahead, because after finding that piece of the plane, I want to see that unfold in real time. Where is that going? Is this sort of a theory of angels? Was this some bigger conspiracy planted by the government that maybe this was put there for people to find so that they can have a different narrative of what happened? I mean, we don't know yet. They have opened the door to a lot of different ideas and mystery that comes with finding that piece of the plane.
Let's look ahead briefly here to season 3 in terms of whether or not there's going to be one. So, as of right now, NBC has not confirmed anything. Usually, we find out this news in late April, early May, somewhere around there. The ratings, they're not bad, but they're not what they were last season. So I think this is very much up in the air at the moment, which kind of like Flight 828 before terrible things happened.
Yeah, which really stinks. We need another season of the show.
We got to have some sort of tie together. And so the only advice I would give you guys is tell your friends to watch. DVR it if you have, it's already ended, but watch it on your DVR if you've already said it. Stream it.
Yep.
Try to get more people engaged.
Yeah, it's a great show. I mean, it's an easy sell.
It's an easy sell, especially right now. It's one people can sort of get through over the course of just a week or two, binge watching it. So get the word out. We'll see what happens on the future. I think it's pretty clear based on everything we have raised in this video. We need answers. We can't just be left thinking that that everyone can be saved by beams of light and there's no further mystery there. So
no, there's got to be more to it, and I need some answers. So season 3, make it happen.
All right, so let's get you guys' take on this. What did you think about the Manifest season 2 finale? Where do you want to see the show go entering season 3? Let us know all of your thoughts in the comments, and if you do like this video, remember to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store, and we'll see you here next time.